Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request for Kevin. Thank you so much for that. For those interested requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box. I'll get to as soon as I possibly can. So thank you for that. Now, Kevin had a topic for me, which is a bit of an interesting one of the Goonies versus Stand By Me. Now, of course, both films came out pretty soon, like pretty close to each other. The Goonies was 85, Stand By Me was 86, and they both do feature Corey Feldman, which I do think was a better child actor than a teen adult actor. And I'm not going to reiterate my thoughts on Corey Feldman, because that'd be another 20 minutes. But, I mean, they're, as one would say, is like comparing apples and oranges, because they're two very different movies. Two good movies. Because one is more of a fun, comedic adventure story, and then one is more of a simple, dramatic, I would consider a bit darker movie. Because, I mean, Stand By Me is about kids trying to find a dead body. So it is about a group of kids get together to find something, but... Well, I guess Goonies, technically they find a lot of dead bodies, those pirates. But their goal isn't to search for a dead body. It is for Stand By Me. And then you have... I would say, like, the villains feel more dangerous. Kiefer Sutherland and his group feel more dangerous in Stand By Me. And it depends on your mood. If you're looking for more of a dramatic movie, a bit more emotional... I would say Stand By Me, especially with River Phoenix and what he brings to the table. The end of the film where you find out what happened to his character, which is heartbreaking. And definitely gives you a bit more food for thought at the end. Where you find out, of course, who's narrating, what's going on with their lives, and him remembering these moments in time, and how not all these kids ended up in a great spot. And how you see them, then they kind of fade away. While the Goonies is definitely much more upbeat and much more happy-go-lucky. So again, it just is apples and oranges. It just depends. It's like, okay, what do you like more? Trying to think of a comparison. The Shawshank Redemption or Star Wars, A New Hope. As well, the two, I mean, Shawshank Redemption, I would say. But they're both good in their different ways. They're just two very different movies. I would say, for me, though, I do prefer the Goonies, only because that's more my... Stand By Me is good. The Goonies is just more my cup of tea in terms of movies that I gravitate towards. Where if I'm picking between the two, a fun, upbeat adventure with treasure and the camaraderie of the group and the booby traps and all that stuff, it's just much more fun, which is the purpose, is to be more fun. I don't know if the purpose of Stand By Me is for fun. There's funny moments, like the bit where they get the leeches. Funny as in, I'm glad that's not happening to me. But definitely much more of a... The two very different tones of movies. But I mean, the Goonies, I love the Goonies. I think it's a classic. I love the music. I think the music is great. Not just the songs, but the score. I like the Stand By Me song. Trying to remember the score. I'm sure the score is decent, but I remember the score in the Goonies more. And to be fair, the Goonies I've seen multiple times. Stand By Me I've only seen twice. I've only seen 2 times. And that was kind of enough for me. It's one of those films that I think is a good one, but it's not just not a film I rewatch. Disney, I do like films that are dramatic. I do like films that are serious. I always mention The Shawshank Redemption, because it's a favorite movie of mine. But I go more, yes, for more fun, more entertaining, more of those escapism movies. That's just my preference. It's just my favorite. Just like if more people, there are people who just watch more horror films because that's their preference. There's nothing wrong with that. Or there's people that watch more action films, or there's people that more watch comedies. This is their preference. There's nothing wrong with that. So the Goonies, I looked at the cast, and I liked T. Hoi Kwan. I liked Sean Astin. I liked Josh Brolin. Corey Feldman does a good job in that, to be fair. The villains, they're more fun to watch. Robert Davi and Joel Pantoliano and Anne Ramsey. Now, I don't feel that they're dangerous. Like, again, if you ask me which I feel is more dangerous, Kiefer. But which villains do I like more? I like the villains of the Goonies more because of their personality, because the way they worked with each other, the way that Robert Davi, Joe Pantoliano, sometimes they, because of their brotherly fighting between each other, they sometimes act like big kids. Like at the end with Sloth, and they're arguing with each other. Remember we said we do this, but then we spent the money on his toupee. I don't wear a toupee. And they're arguing with each other and start fighting each other instead of Sloth. And Anne Ramsey, just that voice, that mannerism, both in that and Throw Mama from the Train, is just classic. People remember her voice. They remember how she acts, and it just worked very well for those type of characters. Which I can't even pretend to even try to do that voice. And the cast in Stand By Me, they do a good job in that film. It's very interesting to see Jerry O'Connell in such a young age, and how he even says, like, there were quite a few years he was just known as the fat kid in Stand By Me, and it bothered him. And he definitely changed that up because he got very much in shape and did various other films afterward, TV shows like Sliders. I know my friend Fabio just reviewed the TV show Sliders, all 5 seasons, and those first 2 or so seasons were good, and then they fucked it up. Oh, man. That pisses me off. I try not to go on rant on Sliders and how they just completely shit the bed on that show. Jesus. But the first 2 or so seasons were pretty good. But yeah, I remember Sliders. They fucked it up. Fucked it up. Granted, nowadays it's like, okay, there's 4 kids. River Phoenix was great. Who's the Jericho? Will Wheaton, he does good in the film, to be fair. But Will Wheaton's such a bitch nowadays in real life that just, even though he does a good job in the movie, it's like, I don't want to watch him anymore. I don't want to rewatch him and stuff. He's such a bitch in real life. He's such a bitch in Heat. And then, my thoughts on Corey Feldman. So even in rewatching, like, there's a lot more people I like. Like Sean Astin, I'm not big on him as the voice of Raphael in that TMNT cartoon he did, but I do like him in the Goonies. I like him in Toy Soldiers. I do like him in Encino Man. I liked him in other films as well. Let's see, what was it? T. Hoi Kwan, which I know he has a new film out, which bombed, apparently, completely bombed, called Love Hurts. That was a big bomb. So much for his comeback, I guess. But I do like him. He was in Temple of Doom. I liked him here as Data. Josh Brolin, I thought, was good support as the older brother. I liked the brotherly bond him and Sean Astin have. I like the ladies. I'm bad with names. I forgot their damn names, but I do like those two. I know one of them was in Summer Rental, which I still have to get that Blu-ray sometime. I keep forgetting. But it was like Terry Green or something. Yeah, I'm bad with names, so bear with me on it. So it's like both have good casts, but I like the cast of the Goonies more. Because there's more of them. There's more interactions between the characters. There's more like fun banter and comedic lines and memorable lines. booby traps, all that stuff. And just that whole aspect of going to find treasure, just something that could live vicariously through the characters. I don't live vicariously through the characters of trying to find a dead body. That's just something I would never do in 100 years. Okay? I'm not fucking Logan Paul. I'm not going out to find dead bodies and do whatever. So the plot was, I got more into, the story got more into, the fun adventure aspect, the close calls, the escapism, stuff that you can kind of live again vicariously through the characters, and you're with the characters enjoying the ride. Even though the booby traps are dangerous, there's a part of you that seems like, what kind of booby traps? Oh, it's falling rocks. Oh, it's this thing with the piano. You gotta hit the right chords or you fall to your death. The slide that they go down seems like a fun slide to go on. Seems like it'd be a hell of a ride unto itself. And then finding the pirate ship and, you know, all this gold and jewels and stuff. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to go on a journey where you find gold? I'm a sucker for that type of adventure movie because I love Firewalker with Chuck Norris. I love the Indiana Jones films, even King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain. I like that kind of stuff. National Treasure. Didn't mind the sequel. I like the first one more. Even video games like Uncharted. Those video games were a lot of fun to watch, to play. I do want to play those again one day. So because of that sentiment and backdrop of searching for treasure, because all the fun dialogue they're able to exchange with each other, because there's a lot more characters, there's a lot more personalities to have these fun exchanges, because it has more of this vibrant energy because of Richard Donner's direction, which is his purpose. Like, that wasn't really the purpose of Stand By Me, so I'm not going to give flack to Stand By Me for not having that, because that wasn't what his intention was. So again, if you prefer more of the, I mean, more subtle than Goonies, but more of a quieter, more of a simpler, like Stand By Me, well, again, I would not search for dead bodies. Stand By Me is probably the more realistic movie of, like, this is stuff that maybe you would go through as a kid. And you know, there's little adventures, like almost getting hit by a train and the leeches stuff, but for the most part, it's more of getting to know the character's backstory. And, okay, if you're saying which has more developed characters, Stand By Me, you get a little bit more, like, River Phoenix as his character that's looked at as a troublemaker, but things aren't always what they seem to be, and the stories that are told about him weren't really what they were, but he kind of accepts it because, hey, it is what it is. So yeah, if you're looking for a movie that's more, again, more dramatic, has a little bit more emotional tug at the end, a little bit more, again, character development, Stand By Me is definitely the film for you. And I do appreciate those aspects of that film. But Goonies, again, is just more fun, which is his purpose, is to be more fun. So yeah, that's why he's Apple. But I get why he chose the two, because it's about a group of kids on a search for something, and they both have Corey Feldman. So, and they both, again, they came out like a year within each other. But the Goonies, for me, it's just a lot more fun. It's just a lot more fun to watch. The characters seem a bit more fun and a bit more energetic and lively in their personality. It doesn't have Will Wheaton, so that's a plus, because fuck Will Wheaton, he's such a bitch. And they both have Corey Feldman, but I would say Corey Feldman, I probably liked a little bit more in the Goonies. Plus, he gets his ass kicked and pushed into the water by the bad guys, which is a fun bit. Well, they're pushing everybody into the water. But it's like, yeah, you deserve it, you asshole. And again, just like right now, I can remember the music in my head. It's running through it. You know, that adventurous music that it begins the film, where you're having the escape, the bad guys are escaping, and you have this car chase as an interesting way to introduce all the characters. Like, this is where all the characters are while this chase is happening. So there's Chunk with his milkshake, whatever, it breaks apart, or you know, all this other stuff. It's like an interesting way to introduce the characters. And I mean, there's definitely more laughs in it, and there's more action in it. Which Richard Donner, of course, showcased much more of a different type of action later on with Lethal Weapon. And because of Spielberg's name and producer, they were able to get a bit of a budget for stuff like the pirate ship and other things. And at the end of the day, like, Stand By Me, I would say is more bittersweet. Which maybe is more realistic, but just more bittersweet of remembering fond days, but just again with the way it ends. Very effective, but just bittersweet of these memories and how he pretty much never got to see these guys ever again. And I think it was a Corey Feldman's character went to like Vietnam, and I forget if he died in Vietnam or disappeared or missing. I can't remember actually. I can't remember. And then the tragedy, which is even more upsetting because of the real life tragedy of River Phoenix. This is a guy who, man, I think River Phoenix would have been Leonardo DiCaprio nowadays. I really do. I think if River Phoenix was still alive, a lot of the roles you see Leo DiCaprio in, River Phoenix would have gotten a lot of them. I mean, maybe not. Maybe Drudge or something else would have caught up with him, but he's such a talented actor. Oh, okay. Tried to get into the army, but his damaged ear and poor eyesight disqualified him. He ended up serving jail time and working odd jobs. Okay. So, he wanted to go in there, he couldn't, and then... So it's not really a happy ending for him. While attempting to break up a fight in a restaurant, he was stabbed to death. So he tried to do the right thing. So there's definitely a bittersweet feeling to it. So like I say, it just depends on your mood, depends what you want out of a movie. To me, there's no wrong answer in picking one or the other. But again, for me, I'm much more of the fun, jovial, entertainment escapism factor. So the Goonies I put above it. But again, they both have good casts. The acting is solid. They're both well-made movies. Yeah, it just depends on what your mood is. And most of the times my mood is for the more fun, you know, just life is tough as it is, and life is a pain in the ass as it is, so just enjoy with some escapism. So that's just my mindset. But either way, both are good films. And yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.